Some relationships are never truly forgotten, not with time, not with distance, not even in silence. Today, we're going to talk about the 4 types of people that avoidant individuals never truly forget, even when the relationship ends, even when they can't bring themselves to return. Their heart, their unconscious, keeps circling back to these people again and again. These are the people who shake the foundation of the avoidant's inner world. Their presence, their silence, the way they carried themselves, all of it acts like a mirror the avoidant doesn't want to look into. This video is for those who feel like they've lost someone with an avoidant attachment, but in truth, you became the experience that the avoidant replays inside their mind, quietly, and never completely lets go of. Today we'll explore who these 4 types of people really are, the ones whose absence still creates noise in the avoidant's soul, the ones whose memory doesn't fade with time, it deepens. If these words touched something within you, share your thoughts in the comments and subscribe to keep receiving truths that speak to your heart. The one who honors their boundaries for avoidance. The most threatening kind of person isn't the one who fights for them, but the one who still loves themselves in their absence. This is someone who doesn't lose themselves in love, who observes quietly but isn't afraid to draw a line when needed. When the avoidant starts playing their usual come close, now pull away game, this is the person who confuses them the most. Because they don't chase, they don't fall apart emotionally, and they don't beg or guilt trip. Instead, they simply say, "I understand you need space, but when you're ready to come back, I may no longer be there." The clingy pursuer who lost their self-respect. Some people fall so deeply in love, they forget that they are someone too. This is the kind of pursuer who sacrifices their dignity to save the relationship. They keep knocking on a door even after being told again and again that it's already closed. At first, the avoidant may appreciate the distance, but this kind of pursuer doesn't stop when they're pushed away. They move in closer. They send message after message, stalk social media, overthink stories and statuses, involve mutual friends, and sometimes even cross physical boundaries. They believe this is intense love, but to the avoidant, it feels like danger. The avoidant remembers this kind of person, but reconciliation becomes nearly impossible, because they've now seen this person at their lowest, with no self-respect, no boundaries, and no bottom line. And that's the moment when attraction fades, respect disappears, and emotional connection gets severed. The memory of this person becomes a bitter image in the avoidant's mind, a reminder of how emotional closeness can spiral into chaos. This pursuer's desperation strengthens the avoidant's inner defenses. They think, "This is why I don't let people get close," and unfortunately, this dynamic also feeds the avoidant's emotional superiority. They start to see themselves as composed and rational, while viewing the other as unstable, needy, and emotionally weak. Even if time passes, even if the pursuer heals, learns boundaries, and grows, the avoidant cannot unsee what they once saw. That relationship becomes a closed chapter, marked with shame, discomfort, and emotional exhaustion. But forgetting, that's not so easy. The avoidant remembers them, not out of love, but as a lesson, as a reminder that someone once fell apart for them, and that memory haunts them in silence. And sometimes they return. Maybe through a message, a random story reply, or just to check, are they still broken, or have they found themselves again? They don't stay, but they do come back, even if briefly. Because avoidants never forget people like this, and in some form, they always return. The ideal they think they don't deserve love isn't always about attraction. Sometimes, real love shows up as someone so whole, so stable, so kind, that the avoidant starts to feel unworthy of receiving it. This is the kind of person who embodies everything the avoidant secretly longs for: emotional maturity, calm presence, patience, real connection. They don't play games, they don't add to the emotional chaos, they bring clarity, and that very clarity becomes terrifying for the avoidant. Because the avoidant starts to believe, this is too good to be true, if this goes on too long they'll see the real me, and they'll leave. And before that fear becomes reality, they begin to pull away. The avoidant unconsciously starts testing this person with distance, coldness, criticism, silence, just to see, will they still stay if I become difficult to love? And when the ideal person still chooses love, still responds with grace, the avoidance anxiety gets worse, because now this love is not just beautiful, it's a mirror showing everything the avoidant believes they are not. They begin thinking, I don't deserve this, I'll eventually ruin it, they need someone better, so they sabotage it, not because they don't feel but because they feel too much and don't know how to carry it. After the breakup, the avoidant may feel relief, no more pressure to live up to a standard, but deep inside, they know they lost something rare, and that quiet awareness slowly turns into regret. They begin to idealize this person in their mind, not just for their qualities, but for how they made them feel, safe, seen, and deeply loved. Returning, though, feels impossible, because they know they cannot show up with the same emotional openness this person once received from them. Still, somewhere inside, the avoidant circles back, through a profile visit, a memory, a moment of wondering what could have been. Because avoidants never forget people like this, and in some form they always come back. The one who lost emotional control during the breakup. Some breakups are quiet, and some are so loud, they echo forever in the mind. This is the person who couldn't contain their pain, and during the breakup, that pain exploded as rage, blame, or threats. The avoidant, who already fears emotional overwhelm, feels deeply threatened by this kind of response. They think to themselves, this is exactly why I don't let people get close. When someone screams during a breakup, hurls accusations, makes emotional threats, or lashes out in a moment of heartbreak, the avoidant doesn't see grief. They see danger, and danger for an avoidant becomes a permanent red flag. This person who once felt like home now becomes a memory the avoidant wants to keep locked far away. Even if the anger was temporary, even if there were apologies later, the avoidant cannot forget the moment they felt emotionally unsafe, and that moment builds a wall they never want to tear down. Because avoidants don't just crave space, they crave control, and losing emotional control, even if it's not theirs, is terrifying. It makes them feel like the relationship was a trap, like love was chaos, like proximity equals danger. Even friends and family might reinforce it. Don't go back to them, they lost it. So now, the avoidant avoids even the thought of reconnecting. But here's the thing, even these people, the ones they vowed never to return to, they're never truly forgotten, because something that powerful doesn't disappear. It lingers. The avoidant may not return with an apology, they may not reach out with regret, but a part of them will always revisit the memory, not because they want to relive it, but because they can't erase it. That emotional explosion, it changed the entire narrative, and sometimes curiosity returns. Have they changed? Are they still that reactive? Would they lose it again? Maybe the answer doesn't matter, but the memory does, because even people who made them feel unsafe, avoidants never fully forget, and in one way or another, they always find themselves looking back. They walk away, sometimes quietly, sometimes suddenly, and you're left wondering, did they ever even care? But what you don't see, what they'll never say out loud, is that you left an imprint on their nervous system. Avoidants don't process pain the way others do, they bury it, they intellectualize it, they run from it, until one day it shows up again, in a memory, in a dream, in someone else's touch that doesn't feel the same. The four people we talked about today, they weren't forgotten, they were remembered in silence, revisited in the quiet moments no one sees, because these people weren't just exes or old lovers, they were mirrors. They saw through the avoidance walls, held them accountable, or reflected back the avoidant's deepest fears about love, intimacy, and self-worth. And no matter how far the avoidant runs, they cannot outrun what they saw in those mirrors. That's the thing about emotionally impactful people, they don't fade, they stay. Not in messages or contact, but in the way the avoidant now hesitates, overthinks, or subconsciously searches for what they once had, but didn't value. And so even if they don't come back in the way you expect, with flowers, apologies, or romantic gestures, they come back emotionally. They remember the boundary you set, they remember the pain they caused, they remember the safety they felt but couldn't receive. Avoidants may never fully admit it, but they do revisit you, not just once, but many times, and maybe, just maybe, that's why they can't find peace. Because they lost the one person who triggered their deepest fears, but also offered them the greatest chance to grow. Dear friends, if this video resonated with you, share your story in the comments, and if you found clarity or healing here, please subscribe. There's more to come.